10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome on back to Game 2 of EWolves versus DC in what should be an absolutely fantabulous Game 2. I'm at Lyrical Dota, joined today by Llama Down Under in these North American playoffs, lower bracket, elimination mode potentially at this point in time for EWolves. How are you feeling today, Llama?
This is interesting. Broodmother first round ban?
Yo, man, when you hate the spider, you hate the spider. What more can we say?
I feel like it's also funny because in the lobby, Digital Chaos, so it is Van on that third slot. I guess he just has multiple accounts, which is clearly impressive because this one's 6k, the other one's like 7k. I don't know what's going on there, but I think it's interesting. They asked that and then they Broodmother banned. They banned it first. Van, I've seen him play like a carry Broodmother before that does a lot of damage, and it's something where you can itemize the Brood to be a hard carry. But either way, we've got real picks coming out, which of course matter more than banned. Lich, Shadow Fiend. Lich, interesting first round pickup. He's dropped off a little bit since, I mean, he was very popular in the major qualifiers.
Well, I think part of that was because of the sort of prevalence of that Doom Lich offlane that people started experimenting with right before the major. And while it's incredibly powerful, it does leave you a little bit lacking in serious disables from the offlane here. You think about some of the other offlaners that you got. You have the Dark Seer, you have the Tusk. There are other reasons, I'm sure as well, why this ended up falling off that I'm not intelligent enough to be able to pontificate about. But nonetheless, that to me is at least one of the things that ended up seeing. Of course, an incredibly strong early game lane. And I think that Lich still is really good and he's able to sort of win you a lane. My question is this going to end up being a dual off lane, or maybe we end up seeing him sit in the mid lane, or at least try and sacrifice away a few of those creeps? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I like the Lich. I've been seeing him put up against the carry lane, but as you mentioned, he can go mid. Another thing he can do, EWolves haven't shown yet, but if they pick someone, let's just throw out the Alchemist, for example, the Lich can actually just kind of eat a creep, go stack, go maybe poke at someone in a lane, eat a creep, go stack, and then he can get experience and make sure he gets levels when those stacks are taken. So he's got a lot of options, and I like the hero because he's flexible. I like him because right now somebody that adds armor is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that's certainly necessary. Some of the ways that we've ended up seeing that battled against the minus armor strats that could potentially come out with the first pick Shadow Fiend is possibly going for something like a Sven. Let me make sure in chat that we didn't end up all dropping out of this game now. Just Smash disconnected, but he's coming back into it because they're dropping really low on their reserve time right now. Very surprised by this one. Is actually it's MGod who's drafting. I felt like last time, wasn't it Van that was drafting for him as the captain?
It was Van. I think it's just a case of they aren't sure what they want to pair up with this, and you can see they go with the gyro. I mean, sometimes when you pick up the Lich, you go for that, I call them like hell lanes for the safe laner, and maybe they were thinking maybe we get Lich Tusk, and the safe lane farmer gets nothing for Digital Chaos, but instead going with the gyrocopter. Ewo, I don't know whether it's a super... everybody knows how to play gyro at this level. It's going to be an Ewo gyrocopter most likely again.
Yeah, and I think that also... I don't think the gyrocopter was the problem in the last game. The problem was definitely the Huskar not having the tools to be able to deal with them. That being said, if at this point in time they don't end up banning out the Huskar in the next two picks, there isn't a Dazzle on Digital Chaos' side. I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a third pick, just to be able to pair on up with that Shadow Fiend, have somebody in the mid lane who can help keep healthy and happy and stack on up for him as well. Bane obviously is a hero that occasionally gets thrown in there to be able to, right-click away at the enemy mid laner or simultaneously just be able to throw out a few brain saps. But I do think that Dazzle Bane is a nice combo. Not only are they both purple, but you also get into a situation where you have the lockdown from one very hardcore, and while Bane does have some defensive elements, you can also just have a very defensive Dazzle there. So I like the Bane pick. I would love to see a Dazzle next for Digital Chaos. I think that pick worked out great for them in the last game. I don't think it's necessary, but that's what I'd like to see here.
They first banned it from EWolves. I think their way of dealing with the Husker. No. You were crashed and so on. Like you were restarting. So this happens. But no, I think that's their way of saying no Husker, right? EWolves is like, look, we don't have to ban the Husker, but if we ban out the Dazzle, it's almost two birds, one stone, because he got so much utility out of the Dazzle being there, as you just pointed out. So they go for it. But Digital Chaos, Owie loves this hero. I'm pretty sure he was picking it up when other people weren't that into the Bane, and now he's just like, nah, guys, this hero is great. And then it gets buffed, of course, in 6.85. So Templar Assassin also being banned out. I think partly a pointed ban at Smash. Partly, if your draft doesn't have ways of dealing with a TA, you can be in a lot of trouble, and maybe Digital Chaos don't want to move in that direction.
You know what I think also might be a really good pick here for Digital Chaos is if they either get the Doom or the Darkseer. I think either one of those would be really good picks as well. This is the point where I'm making fun of myself because I'm saying all the heroes that are banned. Anyways, we're going to move on from that point. Tusk is also going to be banned out here.
I finally get some love. I was really surprised when he wasn't in Lost series.
Well, he's another one of those defensive heroes, or at least somebody that can be played in that defensive role. I'm wondering now, the Winter Wyvern, if this is sort of going to be the unsung hero. It gives you the ability to deal with the minus armor that comes on that, because obviously Cold Embrace is great for being able to keep somebody alive in the right clicks. Also, another hero that's somewhat conspicuously missing from this set of games has been the Wind Ranger. I don't think she was banned out in the last game, and have seen Smash Runner a couple of times.
Yeah, I think it's something where both of these sides understanding that she's maybe best when paired with the Slaughter, and instead Digital Chaos last game went with that Lina. It could just be mid-player preference, or it could have been that they just don't value the Windrunner without some more minus armor to help her out. Because of course, without the Slaughter, her Focus Fire is a bit underwhelming compared to other heroes' item progression. And we have an EWolves Ogre Magi. They love this guy. I think this is like... I say they love this guy. I think it's probably only like their 5th game or 6th game with him this patch, but that's like infinitely more than other teams.
This is somewhat interesting to me, because with the Lich, you're kind of expecting him to be running in that dual off lane. With the Ogre Magi, you kind of expect him to be... I mean, the way that I've seen him played more often recently has been roaming around in that mid lane, throwing out Ignite, particularly if you end up seeing him against a TA. But I don't see him that often as just a straight-up lane support. Obviously, he can be played in that role, and he does have the great regen off the back of it. So, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of maybe being able to see him up there with the Gyrocopter, but if he is going to be sort of roaming around into that mid role, that leaves the Gyrocopter slightly open against one of the more aggressive offlaners. Yeah,
and we saw last time, I mean, it's a bit different. Darkseer, of course, banned out this time, but Darkseer isn't too worried going up against a Gyro. You might fall once or twice in lane, especially if they max out the rocket like we saw, but you're still going to get your levels and you're going to really hurt the Gyro just because he is only 365 ranged. But in this case, I mean, what are good offlaners that are left in the pool, since we've got Doom banned out, Darkseer banned out, Slaughter's out, Broodmother? I'm not sure I see one that's an easy harass, although Bounty Hunter can be a pain everywhere. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I was wondering about, is maybe you commit a little bit more of an aggressive lane here. Clockwork is still in the pool, but can't really punish Gyro super effectively. I feel like Gyrocopter does really well in that solo lane, and because they've already banned out a lot of the other heroes, that's the one that I'm thinking of. Nature's Prophet for Elite Wolves, so this is going to be that Van build again. I'm going to say yesterday...
Did it work today? It didn't, right?
Didn't work, no. They ended up losing the series 2-0, but... he did end up going for an early Dagon, and then that built into afterwards I think he went straight into Octarine after Dagon and then into Aghanim Scepter afterwards, and they're just sort of creating that awful combo that you sometimes see with the Aghanim Scepter Octarine, where it's a 20 million year game, but they still ended up losing because it was against an Alchemist. So Archon was running an Alch in the mid lane, and I think this Ember Spirit is a good pick here also. The counter push, being able to hold that high ground, to me it looks like they're like wanting to go late, and with an Ember in the safe lane, they're definitely set up to be able to do that.
Yeah, and if your opponents let you get Yeah, they want to make units. You get an Ember Spirit. It's fine. You're gonna be fine. Another thing, as you mentioned, they've got Shadow Fiend. He can definitely build either for late game, which is the kind of Helm of the Dominated Sanjin Yasha, or for earlier game with that mech, and then going Sanjin Yasha. You kind of always go the Sanjin Yasha. He's got options, and if Ember Spirit's needing more space, he might go kind of that earlier build involving the mech. Of course, if Bounty Hunter has a great game, he may also just suddenly have a Guardian Greaves at, like 25 minutes, which we've seen before when the Bounty Hunter takes over the game.
Yeah, thing that does sort of worry me about this, I feel like we've touched on it a little bit. Maybe the weakness of Digital Chaos's lanes. Because right now, if it's a solo offlane bounty hunter, which we never see, I really don't expect that to be the play at all. That's going to leave you with a Bane trying to keep alive the Ember and the Shadow Fiend. I guess Nature's Prophet isn't the most aggressive of offlane heroes, but can still cause some problems for Ember. I'm just worried about a lack of support or a lack of early game presence, and a Brewmaster is also going to be taken. Wow, this is a very aggressive lineup for EWolves. Usually when you end up seeing the Nature's Prophet, I feel like you're thinking about somewhat late game split pushy stuff, but this all of a sudden looks like you can start taking team fights quite early with that Brewmaster.
Yeah, and I do feel like Ember Spirit, Brewmaster Nice in some ways brings a little bit of lockdown for the Ember Spirit, who's a hero that you notoriously need it against. And they've got... I'm not quite sure it'll be enough. What you were saying before about the laning presence of Bane and Bounty Hunter, I think Bane is always a surprisingly tanky and painful hero to lane against if he's played at this level. We've seen him, he's got a much smaller range than most, but he can harass out the opposing mid, and you think he's getting low, and then he's like, brain sap, pure damage, have fun with that. So it's always nice there. And now they want their Beastmaster, which is, the pick off on the Brewmaster hero. If Smash is trying to use that ult, he's going to get screamed into stun, I guess is how that works. Or Fiend's Grip. They've got a lot of tools to deal with this Brewmaster now coming out. So I do have to say I like Digital Chaos's draft. I think it's a bit easier to execute on every turn.
Well, again, the one thing that I'm going to be curious about is the laning stage for them. With the fact that you're running a Bounty Hunter here, Owie Bounty, means that either the Shadow Fiend or the Ember Spirit is going to be left alone for probably extended period of time. Smash Brewmaster, and meanwhile having Van in that offlane Prophet, Masuko is going to end up roaming around here at the early stages. I am a little bit concerned about Shadow Fiend's ability to sustain and lane against this Brew, where you can get a couple of solid slows down on top of him. Bounty Hunter's just going to be needing to run around and be at the proper lanes at the right time, and that's not always an easy thing to do.
Yeah. So taking a look around, we've got, we can actually, because we know who everyone is, do introductions this game.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
We got Io here who's going to be playing for EWolves Gyrocopter yet again, that Gyrocopter life. Smash Me Pastor is going to be playing on the Brewmaster 8000 match points. M-God going to be playing the Lich. Yotsuku is going to be on that Ogre Magi heading down towards the bottom lane. Last but not least, Van on the Nature's Prophet with the Noltalian Tango build.
Yeah, and then up on DC, we've got Beethoven or Yawar on that Shadow Fiend, Owie 2000 on the Bounty Hunter. It's going to be another 1437 Bane. Actually, he was Dazzle last time, so they did swap. Interesting. Owie is Bounty Hunter specialist. I believe he played that a number of times in that big competition that happens once a year. But Bulba on the Beastmaster, who's actually headed down bottom, and then, of course, it's going to be TC on the Ember headed up top. So maybe their way of protecting him is just expecting that the supports on EWolves will be doing rotating on their own, and to give him the easier lane up against the solo carry.
So I think this makes sense. You're going to be able to dodge away the lane that's the Ogre Magi and the Nature's Prophet. Of course, Ogre is just going to keep on running around here. Does have that Orb of Venom as well as the Clarity, a good amount of sustain here. Smash is going to end up getting the Bounty Rune. And the thing, again, that this is going to do is end up leaving open the mid lane. So I'm expecting to see the Bounty Hunter stick around here a lot, try and secure the early stages by maybe being able to snipe out a bottle. But M-God sitting here on this Lich is going to start denying on out these creeps. And all of a sudden now you're in this situation where you have your Gyrocopter up solo against the Ember and the Bane. I like the laning right here by DC. I think that it's a pretty good answer to what EWolves are throwing at them. And again, it's just going to be a question of how much can you get in here. And taking Race Verse is probably the best way to start this out here.
Yeah, and some of that comes down to player preference. I've I'm failing to remember. Either way, he's got now souls up. I'm failing to remember whether Yuar is one of the players, because there are some players like what is his name? I think it's Justin on one of the other teams. He always goes the same Shadow Fiend build, but I think Yuar sometimes shows some differences. But they are going aggro. They've already done a lot of damage to EWolves, and now Owie, he may be taking a tumble. He takes the full rocket barrage, and that's our first. Oh no! He's out of the range.
It was a little fog there. That was a nice play by him. He realized that they dove a little bit too deep, but if he goes backwards right there, he dies.
Yeah,
so really good reaction. He doesn't end up denying himself to neutral creeps now as well. Get back to lane a little bit quicker. So a little bit of a misplay, but then being able to cover for it. I think that's the most important thing in Dota is everybody messes up from time to time, but being able to figure out how to get yourself out of those dangerous situations is definitely the most important thing. Is we do continue to see this Nature's Prophet here in this offlane, just trying to zone on out the Ogre, but that is not an easy task. Excuse me, what am I talking about? Trying to zone out the Beastmaster with the Ogre, and that's a little bit of an easier task, even with the Boar.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do wonder if they'll maybe rotate. It's something where the Nature's Prophet should actually solo have a fine time against Bulba. And Bulba's getting experience. Nature's Prophet, most of the players who play this a lot, you'll just see them spawn trees. They harass you a bunch, and the trees are surprisingly tanky. So, but instead, 1-4-3-7, disrupting the pull that was started by the gyro. It's not something we see too much, and it's really just solo Iwo up here. I don't know how he's gonna fare if they don't rotate someone for him.
Well, and the haste turn up on the Lich is gonna at least apply a good amount of damage here onto 1437, but this is what they needed to have happen. Also worth noting that was also going to give an option here for Owie to move on in towards the mid lane. Gonna drop on down that sentry ward, tango up the enemy one, and the Radiant's Courier ends up getting sniped on out.
Yeah.
The Nature's Prophet being in from behind, and that is going to be the boots. The Shadow Fiend ends up getting picked off there, and Owie does end up having eyes on him, doesn't have level 2 yet, so no points in Janata to be able to slow him down, only going to be that Orb of Venom. But a nice little play there. The early teleport, that's what the Nature's Prophet ends up giving you, and unfortunately the Shadow Fiend, the worse for the wear because of it.
Yep, and now they have rotated Ogre Magi up top. Suddenly, TC not going to have as easy a time as he was. I mean, he was getting great CS up there until this Ogre came up, and Iwo has nothing, pretty much. But they also have a sentry, so if Owie tries his shenanigans again, Rocket Barrage in the face. Oh, but they destroy it. Well done.
Realizing that the sentry is there, able to take that one on out, and no more sentries currently for EWolves, at least up in this top lane. Also worth noting that Shadow Fiend doesn't actually have a bottle right now, so he's in a little bit of trouble now. He's down one raise, very well done, but another TP in from behind, and Yawar is going to go down. That's actually going to be first blood after all the other craziness. Do they end up finding a kill up top as well? Ember Spirit ends up picking on off the Ogre Magi. Thankfully, the Gyrocopter is able to get out of there. Another situation where he has to kind of run awkwardly through the enemy lane, but again, an Ogre being able to get taken out for the Shadow Fiend, I think that's definitely worth it for EWolves.
Oh yeah, I mean, a Brewmaster should not be winning the lane against the SF, right? SF has a lot of tools to do better, and especially it's one of those things where even if you did happen to win the lane, SF just hits level 5, raises down the wave, goes to the jungle. So they need everything they can to kind of shut this guy down, especially with how top is going, because Iwo has nothing. He is, 12 CS behind the Ember, and I'm not even including denies there. So
yeah. A bit of a tough one. Owie also does have level 2 now, so having the really good long duration stun, being able to get that one off with the Janata. Look at all the damage coming out with the Brain Sap as well. They do end up committing the Fire Blast for this one. I think he gets out. Thankfully, not quite in range to be able to get the kill there, and now the Nature's Prophet TPing in. Sprout is going to be able to be an FTC in a little bit of trouble with the Rocket on top of him. Nice body blocks coming out from the Trance. Nature's Prophet ends up getting that kill, potentially thinking about more. 4 heroes are up here for EWolves, taking out 1437, trying to Brain Sap away, but I don't think they're going to be able to get it, and Owie also ends up showing himself now. They drop on down the sentry ward. Everybody is dying for DC, trying to TP out of here, but look at the damage as Isle gets a double kill there on the Gyrocopter. 1-4 is the score. Fight recap is showing 1,000 gold swing at minute 5.
This is also huge for the Gyrocopter, right? He was very far behind the Ember Spirit, and now he's above him in farm. Now, of course, lost hits, he's going to still have to get a couple of those for this to keep snowballing, but Gyrocopter wants a good start. Now they're going for the gank in the middle. Do they have the Sprout? They do not have the mana, but Beethoven, you can't fight Smash with the DD, so Yawar goes down.
Yeah. Pretty well done there. The DD up on the Brewmaster, just a little bit too much damage to deal with. Nature's Prophet did drop incredibly low off of that one, but again, this is kind of the power of that Nature's Prophet. Not something that you always see, because you tend to think about him wanting to maybe stay in lane a little bit longer sometimes. That's, I feel at least, well, all right, let me rephrase this. I feel like oftentimes when you end up seeing a Nature's Prophet in pub games, whenever you end up seeing a Nature's Prophet in some pro games even, there isn't as much rotation early. And I think that this is a great play by Van, and it's something that, again, we've seen a lot of the South American squads is wanting to rotate early, help out the rest of your lanes. It comes at the cost of Bulba getting a lot of farm down here, and he has gotten level 6. Currently, he's the highest level in the game, but I think that it's still worth it to be able to shut on down the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, I mean... What? Okay, so let's say even if the Beast Monster gets really big, let's say he gets like Necro 3 at like 12 minutes, okay.
God. Alright, another career picked on off.
Also, did I just see that right where it died, or was I... Oh goodness, no time to talk about that. We got a kill in mid 1437. He is going to burn, baby burn, and taking a lot of damage. He uses the brain sap. Can he get some help from this SF? They throw a rocket at him, and a few more auto attacks should do it. Oh, he gets the Nightmare Deny. Well played, 1437. And now Bounty Hunter is here. Aoi seeing what else he can do. The Panda is back into the big Panda form, and he is gonna go down. And Bulba making sure with the Primal Roar, not Primal, yeah. Primal Roar it is, yeah. I was getting worried. I said Primal Split, Primal Roar. So.
You know, it's all primal. This is.
Yeah. I mean, they're both. Yes. Either way, we have something going down top. What is going down here is Bane again is just respawned, suicided, but going straight back to being dead.
I mean, that's the thing. You take a look there. The brain sap gives you a lot of sustainability, but with the mobility that you see from this Nature's Prophet here, having those early trans up, being able to pop on out of the jungle, the gyrocopter was there as well. It looked like it should have been safe to a certain extent because you didn't know that the ogre was there. You didn't know that the gyrocopter was there. Aoi now off to the side as well. You don't think that they find this kill. Do they have any reveal in the area? They actually don't. So. Maybe one other thing that you could potentially see here out of EWolves, but they're playing this early game perfectly.
Yeah.
You couldn't really ask for a whole lot more out of this squad.
And it's something where, unlike last game, we kept stressing last game how even though EWolves was ahead in kills, the game was really close, at least for the first 10 minutes before the Husker became Husker. But it's something where this game, EWolves are starting to pull away. They're getting more net worth out of the map. Maybe not more experience necessarily, but they're certainly getting ahead, and if it continues, there'll be items up as Smash realizes he needs to not be there, but a little too late. There's the Primal Roar. They have a lot of damage and no time to split.
It's a huge kill right there, because I mean, I was about to say also, as you were talking about that, it's true that EWolves are ahead, but I think that this is a lineup where you would kind of expect them to be a little bit more ahead here. As we do end up getting a jump on forward, that's going to be a haster, and M-God triple raised. Yawar just all up in his grill, making that happen. And with those two quick kills, all of a sudden, Shadow Fiend is top of the net worth, right about the 4,000 net worth mark, and they're going to scale butter. You taking a look at this lineup here, essentially you're running a I mean, Brewmaster is great to a certain extent. Late game, you end up getting the Aghanim Scepter up on him. You need to smash your fingers all over the place, but I don't think he stands up as well late game as a Shadow Fiend with, you know, a 6-slotted Shadow Fiend with Scotty and all those other items up.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Shadow Fiend hasn't shown us yet exactly what he's going for. He could even be going... Okay, he's going for an Aquila right now, and that's not helping reveal if it's more stuff. I was wondering, because he had quite a bit of gold in him, and I was like, maybe he's decided because of stuff like the Primal Split that it's a Shadowblade game where you just sneak up on people, Requiem of Souls on top of them, but not sure what the plan is. That's another option that we don't see as often, but of course against heroes who have easy ways to get away from you, like a Quap, or even arguably the Nature's Prophet here, it might be an option, but... we'll see. So,
he's going for a Deso, it looks like, right?
You think this, but maybe it's just Mithril Hammer Dagon, because clearly that's the build. No, so was it just he went straight Dagon? Were they already losing, or were they winning when he went, like, what was the deal with the Dagon previously?
I think it was relatively even. That was the other thing. There wasn't any real impetus for him to be wanting to go for a dagger. He just kind of did it for the Dagon. And now it looks like they're going to be able to take on out this tier 1 tower here. It does seem like, at least at this point, they're going to need to try and
is under
pressure
attack.
towers early. We talked about the fact that they were able to get off to a good early start. Currently, they still are in the lead by about 1,000 gold, but this hasn't translated into as much map control as you would want. There is still 2 tier 1 towers down for them, but in their own right, they have been getting pressured as well. So TC here is going to be able to TP on out. Unfortunately, the rocket is not going to follow him all the way over there. And also worth noting, the early point rocket over the flat cannon for the gyrocopter, maxing that out. Lure down on top of the Nature's Prophet top lane. We also have Yawar here. He does end up getting the ulti committed for him. He is going to end up popping. Nicely done there, and the TP out is going to be okay. That looks like that was the Beastmaster you got out of there.
Yeah, and they're going to be happy with that. Now, Gyrocopter gets the kill on the Bounty Hunter down bottom. You know, Ogremante had Dust. I think Aoi probably scouted that, but thought he maybe hadn't given it away, and then Trax doesn't realize he's so up close and personal with everyone. Now, on itemization, DC, we've already mentioned it a little bit. If they can hold this out, it does feel like they have the better late game. A little bit of this depends on how Nature's Prophet itemizes, but especially if he's just going to go for a Deso build, it's very... I mean, it's a bit of an earlier build. It doesn't necessarily help you scale into the late game, and he is going to be paper thin, and there it is. That's going to be a Deso. So he's planning on pushing and ending this game out, and if they can just make space on DC, even if they don't maybe make space, you get a kill here and there when you're a little bit behind on gold because you've lost your tier 1 towers. Bounty Hunter will take advantage.
Alright, well, we're seeing now also... They're on a bit of a timer here on EWolves. We've talked about it, but they're taking the objectives that they need. You got the Deso up on the Nature's Prophet. They're starting to apply pressure to the tier 1 bottom. Gyrocopter ended up going for those early drums. I think that these builds are still fine, but it doesn't necessarily scale as well if you end up going for like a quick Helm of the... Is Helm of the Dominator into just stacking up Ancients the other build for Gyrocopter? Am I remembering that correct?
Yeah, no, he'll probably go that every game. It's because having the flat cannon and then Satanic can be super powerful as well. So yeah, he'll most likely go that, but drums gives you such value early on. It's often picked up, and it just feels like an overwhelmingly good item, the drums. Also helps you escape a little bit, especially when you got track flying around. You can just move faster, but we got a smoke DC.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have Bulba move on in here, 1437 in the area. Fiend's Grip as well as Primal Roar ready to be committed. You also have the damage that can come out from TC on the Ember Spirit, currently level 9. The unsung hero in this one. He is the second highest level in the game behind the Shadow Fiend. And considering how much we've been seeing EWolves roam around this early game, this is kind of translated into an experience lead for them. They are a little bit ahead, even though the net worth lead is 4,000 into the favor of EWolves by virtue of those tower kills. And it doesn't look like they're going to be able to find the Lich up here, but could try and pressure this tower. And any tower that they're able to take against an early game lineup is absolutely wonderful for DC.
And Lich is only level 7, so no points in that Frost Armor. He doesn't have a good way to slow this down, and of course can't come out and reveal his position. As you mentioned, grouping up pushing towers did nerf the experience a little bit on EWolves, but DC was quite far ahead, and then they took a tumble, a few heroes dying, and they lost a good amount of that experience lead. And Nature's Prophet is soloing Roshan, because that's what you do.
Very interesting. Alright, well, Ember Spirit ends up getting the top tower. This is pretty cool. It's something that we don't see all that often. For all the early game Roshes, usually you end up seeing it something along the lines of a TA or something. The other thing is, I don't think that Nature's Prophet revealed that he had the Dagon yet. They probably did see the Mithril Hammer, but... oh yeah, excuse me. What did I say, the Dagon?
Yeah, it's same, it's close enough. No, I know, your memories from yesterday.
So they're gonna come on in here and give this one. Is this the gyro every time?
No, apparently not. I agree with the gyro sometimes. I guess they're deciding that the Nature's Prophet is so thin here that it's maybe going to be for him. He has a lot of damage output, and that the gyro is a bit tankier with the drums. Not quite sure. Yeah, not 100% sure I agree with that decision, but both sides just saying, hey, we're going to push, and they're knocking on your doorstep, EWolves, so you have to come back for this. I mean, they're
not going to be there in time. You've got the TP on in by the Nature's Prophet.
Oh, gosh.
What's he going to do? They end up getting the chains down on top of them. They might end up losing a tier 2 tower here, but I don't know if it really ends up mattering even. You still have Fiend's Grip ready to be committed, as well as the Sonic Wave. There's going to be the Bruise Split coming out, going to be able to catch onto several heroes, lifting up the Shadow Fiend. Not going to be any mechanism at this point, so potentially in a little bit of trouble. TC kind of leaving 1437 high and dry, but I think that they're still okay. Another brew lift, because that's just what they do. They're also going to dispel it in the end. And now Beethoven, the turnaround, he's able to get off the mechanism. This might be a huge turnaround if they're able to get enough backup damage. And the Nature's Prophet at the Deso, though, is just going to be too much to be able to deal with. Suku doesn't even end up going down to the Death Requiem. Everybody very low on Elite Wolves, but still able to make it out alive. 3 heroes dead for DC, and what looked to be a good fight for them maybe ends up getting taken around with that huge brew split.
SF missed one of his raises there, which would have been a kill on the gyro. While not arguably worth it to trade his life for the gyro, obviously you take what you can get, and the fact that they managed to push those towers so uncontested, even get damage on the tier 3, was a pretty good exchange until they lost the heroes. And we can see, again, it's one of those things where DC was doing a great job of having the experience lead because of the way EWolves has been grouping up and pushing, and now it is just gone.
Book is finished on Bulba, though. They still do have a good amount of items. It does look like they sort of had to give up the idea of Bounty Hunter going for Mechanism. I don't know if he was ever going to really want to go for that. He might just end up going for like a Medallion Solar Crest type of option. But he does have level 8, so track kills, if they're able to find them, are going to be big. I think that pretty much at this point you just are going to try and commit the Ember Spirit to split pushing away whenever possible. Doesn't have the Boots of Travel yet, instead is just going straight for Battle Fury. So he's a little bit more vulnerable than you would normally see out of this hero, but a 3-man smoke on through the jungle.
It's actually really questionable to do that. I understand he wants the Battle Fury up as soon as possible. Oh goodness, they're gonna find out 1437. No escape there, stunned up. And now can they catch any more? Owie, they saw him from the edge there, but there's no dust on this Brewmaster, so it's not looking like they'll find anything. And actually, there were trees right on top of him, but they don't know. So, I was gonna say it's really one of those things where if I know he probably wants the bots eventually on the Ember, but if you're not gonna get them anytime soon, I would say just get the treads, because as you said, you're a little bit tankier. And I was gonna say maybe it was just a case if he bought out twice when he was close to death, but no, he's definitely just finishing up that Battle Fury. It could also be that they're saying, hey, we really need this. They're gonna be sieging at our door in a second, and we want to make sure you cleave off of all those trees.
I think that's the bigger thing, for me at least, is that they don't have the best of high ground defense. Like, the only hero that they really have to be able to push on out the waves is the Shadow Fiend, and now you're taking a look at Smash. He's up on your front door. He does have Brew split back up again. You saw what ended up happening when they were underneath their own tier 3s. I think that they can take this fight if they push forward at all. You've got still the Aegis on up on this Nature's Prophet, so he's not going to go down anytime. With the Hyperstone on top of the Deso, look at how fast this tier 3 is falling, and Ember Spirit isn't here. Like, this is the thing. You take a look right now. If Ember Spirit was able to be here cleaving, it would be a completely and totally different situation. He's just now getting that Battle Fury up. A nice shuriken connecting onto 4. Roar committed onto Smash as well. He doesn't able to get off the Brew split. As of yet, that's going to be a dead Nature's Prophet. Bulba ends up going down as well. Oh god.
So I think another, oh gosh, Nature's Prophet gets the entire Requiem of Souls, and he's actually going to finally fall. That's a huge kill for them, but there's the Blink in, the Primal Split, and now TC, he manages to Remnant over to the side. 1437 going to be their target of choice, and they've also stunned up TC again. Owie, he's trying to get tracks up, he's trying to throw around Shurikens. Iwo was actually getting really low, he's burning, he needs to get out of there, but he goes down. That's another big track kill and a dominating streak, and suddenly the lineup of Iwo was realizing they have overstayed their welcome and Smash. Fiend's gripped up, and he is gone. And felt a bit weird. I feel like the split could have come up right after the Primal Roar was whiffed, and they could have just gotten either the melee or the ranged tracks, but EWolves hesitating there, and unfortunately getting neither.
What a huge hold right there for DC. You take a look at it, it's going to be a 3,000 gold swing, 3,600 experience. It did cost them the Bane buyback, but you do that every day of the week to be able to take on out Smash. And that to me is sort of one of the definitive fights in this game. And the fact that the Ember was able to get a couple of solid sleight of fists out there on top of those heroes. He came back at the right time, right when he was going to be able to finish off the Battle Fury. They had a plan for how to hold high ground, and maybe now they're going to be able to make it happen. He is only 1,000 gold away from being able to pick on up his Boots of Travel, and you know what? This is a scary Ember Spirit right now. He's exactly where he wants to be.
He's not quite there yet, I have to say. It's something where, while the Battle Fury, especially with the tree, little trees running around, is going to be a little bit better, it's still, he doesn't output a lot of damage. I mean, you still need something else. You need a bit of oomph. And when he gets up that baby crit, or the Chrysalis, or the Daedalus even, he's going to be hitting harder. But for now, he's still scary, just not you know, not at the point where I think they're going to worry more than just getting another Aegis. And Aoi is stalking Iwo. He's got backup on the way, and I think a Primal Roar is going to be coming out. There's going to be probably an auto attack to slow him down. There's the track, but Bulba not close enough, doesn't have that blink yet, so Iwo's going to just wander away.
Tosses out the shuriken, says, "Hey, how you doing?" And then carries on his merry way. Does have the Force Staff as well, just to help keep his buddies alive if there is some type of somebody caught out of position. I think the bigger thing than just being able to do a massive amount of damage with the Battle Fury on the Ember is the fact that he can clear waves a little bit more effectively. And that's the thing to me that seems to be the strongest part of this, is that they were really lacking that hero on DC. To a certain extent, Beastmaster is going to be able to do it by summoning stuff, Necrobook and all that, but you don't want to have to commit a Necrobook to clear a creep wave. Also, likewise, Bane doesn't do the best at being able to clear him out, and that's what you're going to end up seeing pretty soon here from that Nature's Prophet, is just continuing to split push away. He is going to be finishing off an AC in a couple of minutes here, and once they end up getting that...
huge.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's really surprising. I'm really surprised to see this. He was also their offlaner. You know, he's doing really well. He's getting a lot of farm, and he has done a lot of good work transitioning that into something. I like this AC pickup because I think it does fit their game plan of let's just push down things, and they're going in again. Can they catch out 1437? The multicast, they've got him, and now if their Nature's Prophet gets on down here, they can certainly make a go for it, but they're deciding on DC. I think they're saying they're just going to try to push up top. What is their TP status over there? They've both got them, so Necrobooks can come out from Bulba and see what work they can make at the tower, but TC already on his way home.
Yeah, and it does also look like here that UR has been able to come on back in, secure on up this bottom lane. They haven't been able to on out those barracks yet, and to me that's something that you need to be able to have happen. Oh, the reinitiation here is going to come on out. We do still have the call down up. You're going to be able to do on out the Bloodlust, and now jumping forward, TC in a little bit of trouble, is going to have to Remnant back. So good positioning there. Now EWolves knocking on the front door again. They're able to get off the Battle Fury, clear through the creep wave, and they don't have a creep wave yet, but still are going to be able to apply this pressure here to this top lane.
This is the second time, though, I feel, where they have pushed without the Nature's Prophet, who is their... I mean, he's the Deso carrier. He's their building damage, and yeah, they're pinging it out now on DC. They know that this push isn't coming. It just feels a bit strange, and a lot of teams, when they do deal with the Nature's Prophet, they run that kind of like, you make space for the Nature's Prophet to backdoor. This doesn't feel like it. Like, they're trying to pound on the backdoor so Nature's Prophet can farm.
Well, I'm wondering there if there was maybe a bit of miscommunication, and they were thinking... Like, I liked the first push there and then the reinitiation with the smoke, and I was wondering if they thought that maybe Nature's Prophet might end up TPing back in. He's going to go down to do these Ancients now, and Van, a carry player at heart, is just going to keep on farming away. 11k net worth on him. And I think that they're in a decent spot to take an engagement now. If DC continue the smoke gank, they probably call it off now as the smoke's about to wear off.
Yeah, the smoke does wear off, but they're going for it. Primal Roar onto Smash, but he has a lot of support nearby. Smash is going to be instantly popped. Can the rest of DC get out? That is the question. An ult comes out from the Lich, and there is TP support coming back. Another stun coming out from the Ogre Magi. Not a multicast this time. Bulba looking like he's going to get out, and Beethoven on the top explodes to the Primal Split buyback, but they aren't able to catch out the Bane. So they got a buyback and only killed Jawar, while... he's a big target as the opposing Shadow Fiend. They lost out on that for EWolves because they had to buy back.
I think that that was pretty much the best that you could hope for. Well, all right. I think that the buyback is fine there. The problem is that you're not able to cancel the TPs. You're not able to find the initiation, because if they didn't end up buying back on the Brewmaster right there, you can't really fight as Elite Wolves, and then you start getting applied pressure to your tier 2 towers. They need to fight around the Brewmaster split. Now they don't really have it up for a little bit. I think this might be a bit of a questionable play trying to push on down without it at this point.
So again, Nature's Prophet isn't there. Like, right. I don't... He's constantly farming. The Dire Courier finally dies this time because Aoi is doing Aoi things as he is wont to do. And it just feels like Van is always farming. No, I mean, that's not bad. Your farming is great, and of course the bots are up on Ember Spirit. He's actually pretty close to being able to buy that Chrysalis. I feel like Van's just always farming, and of course that tier 2 would have been much faster. I guess now they can think about doing the Roshan, although DC's very aware of this.
Yeah, Smash is going to end up coming on in here. He's tracked up and hitting Roshan, which isn't always the best in the world, but they need to take it. Like, they need to be able to fight around this next Rosh, because we talked about that window closing down for them, and I feel like it's becoming more and more evident that that is going to end up happening here. They're chasing on after TC. The nuke is not quite going to connect, and he's going to head on up towards the top lane. Of course, they realize where he is because of the missile chasing him around the whole map. BKB now up on Gyrocopter, didn't end up going into the Helmet of the Dominator. This is, to me, a draft, or excuse me, an item build that's all about fighting early right here.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it's gonna block some of the damage coming out.
Oh, top lane Roar committed. Nature's Prophet is going to be caught out here. We don't have the TPs on in as of yet. It is going to be a one quick pickoff, though, as Nature's Prophet timely does fall. Are they going to be able to get any return kill on the Bulba? No, he's able to get out of there. Despite, I mean, Nature's Prophet was almost able to solo him there, even with the Roar committed.
Yeah, Nature's Prophet does a lot of damage right now, and he maybe will think about his own Necrobooks. They're going to know about this Roshan. I was going to say, oh goodness, there's Ember Spirit going in. This BKB is also very interesting because, again, a lot of this stuff goes through BKB, Fiend's Grip, Shadow Fiend, I guess, doesn't have magic damage that does, but other than that, all this physical damage does go through, and of course axes are physical, Primal Roar goes through BKB, it's interesting, but we're going to be seeing a Roshan, despite having the Deso holder not there, going to the way of EWolves. Nice Solar Crest as well finished on Lich.
Again, it's another one of these cases of ultimates being baited out. Well, not baited out necessarily, but ultimates being committed, and then Elite Wolves recognizing that and trying to push an advantage somewhere else. They realized that Roar wasn't up. They weren't going to be able to contest that as efficiently. That's their main source of lockdown. Shadow Fiend obviously can do a lot of damage if you end up getting a Requiem in on top of several heroes, but it's still a bit of a problem. Now we do end up having the Nature's Prophet again caught out slightly. He is going to end up getting remnanted on top of. Don't want to have to commit. Oh my god, look at the cleave damage. That's absurd. So much coming out there in conjunction with Yawar with the raises. If he caught out again, the window is closing. Look at the net worth. It's top of the mark for Ember Spirit as well as the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, also the experience gap has been closed, as has the almost probably about 7,000 gold lead that EWolves once had is getting narrowed and narrowed. I feel like they need someone to make space elsewhere so Nature's Prophet can get in on these racks, or, you know, maybe push this tower, but not happening.
And again, it kind of comes back to that fight that we ended up seeing in the bottom tier 3. They were able to take on the tower, but they weren't able to apply the extra damage by getting the racks and being able to have the extra map pressure along that bottom lane. And I think that their draft definitely could have worked. It was probably just a couple of solid initiations. Certainly they're not out of it at this point. And if there's one thing that this lineup can do out of Elite Wolves, it's push together and try and fight and take towers. And DC don't respond effectively to it, they're going to be in trouble. So I think as long as you have the Shadow Fiend there raising out creep waves, as long as you've got the Ember Spirit continuing to cut waves, you're going to be fine. Nature's Prophet ends up finding a kill as the TP comes in onto the Beastmaster in the bot lane. That's a good way to start, certainly.
Yeah, and as unfortunately has been pointed out, that there's a Chrysalis on Nature's Prophet, which will really help out. Also, I wanted to say that Smash has picked up something. We don't get to see this a lot on a Brewmaster, and while there's a tower, tier 3 tower falls, Shadowfiend is stunned out though. He's being 4-star forwards and immediately goes for the TP, and there are no more stuns coming out of that Ogre Magi since his only one is on cooldown. We have a Lotus Orb on Smash. It's really interesting. I think it's a fantastic item here, but I don't know whether you want Smash to be the one to get it, not just because he'll spend a lot of the team fight in that Primal Split, which means that you can't exactly use that Lotus Orb, but also just because it's often something you rely on your supports to get.
I actually really like it in this game on him because he's the only one that really has the gold to get it, and something that's going to allow the Gyrocopter to push on up into high ground. He has the Aegis right now, just finishing off the Eagle Song, and so I think that what we're going to see is them just try and slow siege on down maybe the mid tower. Again, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but this at least keeps them somewhat safe from Roar. And there is a bit of a long cast animation on that spell, so if you're able to get in before it ends up getting popped out, it's pretty good. The only question that I really have is, are they going to be able to deal with the split push coming out from the Ember Spirit? And I'm not sure at this point. Now that he's been able to pick on up the Chrysalis, they're ready to push on in here, and it's not looking like Elite Wolves are in a position where they can get up to that high ground push.
Yeah. So they're going to have a nice track going out on the Nature's Prophet. While this guy hits like a truck, he is squishy as anything, and I think that's part of the problem. Oh, and we've got Ember Spirit. He's just being a real pain. He actually takes a stun, but there's no follow-up around, so yeah, he just remnants over the top.
is under attack.
This next team fight, I think, will spell a lot of what's going to happen. And EWolves, I mean, they've got a gyrocopter. Not sure how good their hold is going to be if they are the first ones to lose a Rax. It looks like they might be with this push.
Well, you're having the split push going down in the bottom lane also, so that's one nice little piece from there. Bounty is going to have to TP on back to deal with this, and I don't think that he can do it alone. So even if you do end up seeing DC, you know, apply pressure here top lane, they're also going to be having a lot of pressure bottom lane. Is Nature's Prophet able to solo on, excuse me, get the kill there?
Yeah, he snipes it with the ult.
Really well done there to finish that off, and that kind of slows him down a little bit, and maybe not feeling as confident. DC are going to have to back on up to deal with this.
Now, it's still a case of I wish the Nature's Prophet were the one down bottom. It's something where just a few, especially now that he has a crystal, it's just a few auto attacks over this time period. If he'd been getting them on the ranged racks, it wouldn't be there anymore. And yes, it's only a ranged racks, but that is additional pressure for the lineup of DC that you would be able to have. They go in for it, but they're not quite able to lock him down. Where is his next remnant? He doesn't have one up, so he's having one walk over, but it's walking over right on top of a Nature's Prophet. He's gonna walk over there more. The remnant's still a bit slowed, but there's the next one. That one isn't slowed at all.
Yeah, that was too bad there. They were able to get off the really nice slow on him the first time around as Shadow Fiend ends up getting a kill on the Ogre. Sorry I ended up missing that kill. It's been kind of a crazy matchup this game as everybody is just, there's battles up in the top racks, battles down the bottom racks. They're not going to be able to find this kill as we do end up seeing Bounty Hunter just jet back on out from that one. But TPs are back to the top lane as the pressure has been applied by Yawar as well as the Beastmaster, and DC have been able to weather the Aegis.
Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. It's also going to be a super long Roshan respawn, a bit over 10 minutes, so not really going in favor of EWolves. They would, of course, prefer the short Roshan since they have Rosh pit control. And this Nature's Prophet, he's got 3.5k gold. Not sure what he's picking up next. Oh, he might just finish the Daedalus.
Yeah, it wouldn't be terrible. It doesn't seem like he wants to go for that sort of Aghanim Scepter Octarine build, much more of the right-click battler. And we've sort of been talking about a bit of the quirkiness of this build. The more that I think about it, it makes some sense because they don't have another great right-click hero outside of the Gyrocopter. So they need somebody else who can sort of give them that presence of a lot of right-click damage.
Oh no, Gyrocopter has just TP'd down into what he doesn't know is for, and he gets Searing Chains. Will there be follow-up? Bane is getting ready to come in. Bulba uses the Primal Roar, and if they need it, they have the Fiend's Grip, but I don't think they do. And Ewo goes down, and now anybody else who's thinking about coming in like that Lich, gonna be all the way away. And here I think is where, so the Nature's Prophet, he goes to Palm the Jungle, he could take this tower.
Yeah, all right, well, here we see a pressure up on this bottom lane here. They are perfectly comfortable pushing on in here. Not a great way to be able to de-push this currently, considering the mech did already come on out. We do have off to the side there. Smash jumping in is going to be able to apply that Echo Shell to him. Nightmare on top of 1437 as well. There is going to be the Requiem coming out now. Also, the Lich ulti bolting around. That's going to be a lot of damage on the Bulba. They're all jumping into the Lich ulti. What is happening right now? TC gets away, but man, DC dropping low. That was a very precarious situation for them.
But they still got the Lich kill, and Nature's Prophet, I don't believe, was in that fight. Perhaps he's worried about the fact that he doesn't have buyback if he goes around to fight or gets picked off, but it does feel like there's been a bit of space here where he could be working on towers and is not, especially with that build. I mean, he's got an AC, he's got a Deso, those towers will melt before him, but now they still, they still have a set of racks up top lane, and they still have a tier 3 in the bottom lane, although it did take a beating.
All right, two things I'm going to mention real quickly here. Actually, three things now. First of all, Ember DD Rune is just going to be able to pick that up. Maybe going to try and turn that into something or just more farming. Two, Gem has been taken back into the favor of DC. They don't have one right now on EWolves, which definitely hurts their ability to count out this Bounty Hunter. Their vision game is going to be hampered. And last but not least is that I don't actually remember what the last part of it talk about. I think the Necro Book level 3 is going to start to really play a lot more into their favor because they can apply pressure to this top barracks without Bulba necessarily having to be there. So
yeah, it's also already had a huge impact. Yawar is hitting Foster because of it. Smash, they're trying to isolate TC but not able to, and he just remnants away. A bit ambitious with no one having an Orchid.
Remember the last point now, it's the Blink Dagger up on the Ember. He can throw the Remnant back behind him. He doesn't have to rely on it for initiation because you do have a lot of slows that are coming out from EWolves. You have the Ignite, you've got Brew Clap, you've also got the Lich, Frost Blast as well. So all of these things together would end up creating a problem where maybe you don't end up getting out with your Remnant because you're slowed on down on the Ember Spirit, and instead he can just keep one behind him and make sure that he's fine throughout it.
Yeah, it's a nice defensive way to not have to pick up some of the other defensive items, but again, I'm not I am more in favor, just as opposed to, I'm a big fan of the full Gloss Cannon Ember build, and I think that given the way this game is losted for this long and is just slowly, it feels like, turning in favor of DC, it doesn't seem like a bad way to go, although, are we gonna run right into them? They blow the dust too late. That'll be that.
That really good mobility that you've been seeing out of this this bounty hunter. Blink dagger, force staff, he's just all set to go. He's going to need to go invis back on over here, but with 2 TP scrolls, no way he ends up getting caught on out there. They do end up buying a second gem now on this brew, which is something that they're going to need. We got the Nature's Prophet ulti. If we take a look in terms of team net worth currently, it's
way in
definitely
favor
to the
of DC.
favor of DC. 5k in terms of experience as well. It's shooting up towards that mark, and Aoi continued to be able to move around, but now that he's got a gem up on this Brewmaster, you really need to be careful about your positioning.
Yeah, I feel like it's something where they previously seemed to be taking team fights on the lineup of EWolves, and now their only option is to rat, and they just keep having people TP out away from them. That's another thing we haven't talked about, but we've got an Ogre Magi stun, and what else do we have to block TP, to stop TPs? Lich's ult has a mini stun, you've got a rocket, which is usually not going to make it in time, although they are converging onto stand on 1437, and he goes down very quickly. I think like 2 auto attacks from the Nature's Prophet.
He hits pretty hard. He definitely hurts people there with the Daedalus, as well as being able to have that AC on up, and also 3,000 gold on top of that. If he wanted to, at a certain point, go back on for the sort of crazy split pushy build, no, there's going to be Roar committed. Gyrocopter maybe in a little bit of trouble. We also have Yawar here, able to pop the BKB, but needs one more hit to be able to finish him off. Not going to be able to be enough, as we do end up having the TP in from behind. Nature's Prophet is here, ready to party up against Bobo. Look at him get torn apart. So much damage so quickly, and while the Necro books are going to start to fly, and the last will does a lot of damage, it's still not quite going to be able to be enough. This is the problem with Nature's Prophet, and again, top lane now, we do end up having the Ogre Magi getting caught out by TC. They are going to be able to burn him down, I do believe. They do end up getting the rocket, and there's the Remnant away, so no pressure applied to the barracks, but still killing people inside their own base. Savages that.
And actually, I mean, more damage on this range Rax than the one on the bottom, I believe, yeah. So, while EWolves, they got something done with kills there, as you said. They're even inside their base, they're not feeling safe. They're trying to catch on to this Shadow Fiend, Yawar, maybe being a bit in the wrong part of town, but he also has a Blink Dagger now. And I think they've realized on the lineup of DC, they can be super mobile because there's no lockdown on EWolves.
Well, and I'm wondering if we're going to end up seeing maybe potentially even like an Abyssal built up next on the Brewmaster or somebody. It doesn't seem like that would be necessarily the worst thing in the world. It does look like he's going to be going for that Ultimate Orb instead, probably Secret or Sheep Stick instead. They need some other form of lockdown. Like, you need that to be able to deal with this lineup here. It does look like we're also going to be seeing the Butterfly relatively soon by Gyrocopter. It seems like forever ago that he ended up picking up the Eagle song, but still taking out the next Roshan. There's pressure going to be applied up to this top barracks. Maybe even you can get a bit more of it with Necrobooks coming out from Bulba as he does move on forward, but Aegis on the Nature's Prophet yet again. Creep wave starting to get cleared, and Ogre's here to be able to defend.
Yeah, and while they're getting a bit more damage, yeah, look at that thing melt by ranged Rax. Oh goodness, they used the Primal Roar, and they try to throw just a Shuriken at him. Masoku, he might be able to walk away, but I think he's going down, and one more auto attack should get him. And now they still need to get rid of all of these creeps on the tower. Top range Rax, officially below half health, and yeah, they could just pick away at this over and over.
The other thing, Cheese is up on the Gyro. Fight Reek at the end of that one, a 900 gold swing, but you also have to consider that just that chip damage that we're talking about. It's so weird. I kind of expect there to be a lot more sort of early aggression, but it's going to be the Sheep Stick up on the Nature's Prophet this time. He wants to be able to catch people. It also is pretty great for his damage output, and any little extra bit of int is good, as well as the HP that you get from that Ultimate Orb. Yeah,
I mean, and despite this, he keeps his boots always on int. He hasn't put them on strength. He's still sub 2k health, so while he has a lot more effective HP just because of his armor, it's still not the best. And of course, stuff like Cleave doesn't care about your armor. So, and Yawar just lives in the Dire Jungle. That's the other thing. We've been looking at the net worth and the experience graph, and of course, it keeps going up for DC, partly because they are feeling starved on EWolves.
And also worth knowing, Yawar has 5,400 gold in the bank. He has his BKB, he's got his Mechanism, he's got Manta. It looks like this might be getting... I mean, you don't really want to push back into Aegis again. They can delay this out as long as they want.
Yeah, they're just taking bomb on the map everywhere and then TPing away.
Yeah. God, that's so frustrating to play against.
And,
Normally it's the Nature's Prophet you don't want to play around because of the split push, but this time around it's looking like DC is the ones that are doing it.
yeah, and it's just one of those things. We talked about it during the draft, but DC has a lot of experienced players. You let them push a lane, a game into late game where they have the superior draft, and they're just going to go for it. And I have to say, TC also playing really well. He's 5-1 and 3, especially when you consider they pick something like the Panda to kind of deal with him. This Nature's Prophet is huge, and Ember Spirit can't deal with physical damage. TC's doing a really good job of playing around the map. He also goes for the Lincoln Sphere.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is, he's got his defensive items. He'll probably get rid of his Aquila, either for more Battle Fury or more crit. Maybe also a Manta or something if he's deciding that he really needs more defensive items.
I think the only way that EWolves end up winning this is if they end up catching out the Ember Spirit and being able to take him out. They're going to try and push on in here in the mid lane, but they have one range creep currently, and that's it, as we do end up seeing TZ just cut the creep wave. It's the saddest push in the history of Dota 2, but now we also have a little bit of pressure applied up top here yet again. 1437 is ready to jump on top of somebody. If anybody shows up in this lane, you're going to see the Ember Spirit TP on in after the Fiend's Grip is committed, and a quick kill, I would imagine, although we do have a lot of treants over here now as well.
Yeah. Also, Fiend's Grip has like a huge, big range, so it's really helpful. And again, as you said, they've just waited out the Aegis. It's got 2 more minutes on it, and I don't think EWolves is going to find a good way to use this thing.
And the other thing here is that you would normally expect for a split pushing lineup to have a little bit of problems with getting caught out, but with the vision advantage you get having the Beastmaster, it's not really as big of an issue because you're able to keep pretty good eyes on everything that's going on. Of course, the gem does help on the side of EWolves to be able to find on out Owie whenever he does end up moving a little bit too far forward. But regardless, it's not the worst thing in the world. They have 2 gems now, actually. One on Lich as well as one on Smash.
I assume that's because Masoku actually had bought, I thought both, did they still have the one on DC, or did they buy, because I think that was the one that DC had taken from them and then lost. Yeah. So basically, EWolves had bought both gems this game, and I was just double checking that there wasn't now a 3rd gem in the game, because it's long enough that there could be, but I think they just have both back, and understanding that if Smash sees someone, he can often kill them, especially if it's just the bounty hunter, and then Lich for dewarding, or maybe he just likes holding pretty things.
Definitely. All right. There's jump forward Smash. Not gonna be able to
speaking of
find it.
seeing invisible people and trying to go on them, but Blink Dagger action. Oh, the Nature's Prophet forced off to the low ground by Owie. Really well played. They actually managed to sheep him up. Can he get in range with the Blink? But no, Smash decides not to go for it.
Oh,
And
yeah,
instead, they're coming for TC. I don't know where his remnant is, but he is slowed up, walking away. He does have 1 active, apparently, and he almost just kills up, yep, Masuko down, but I think that they're getting themselves a TC. So that's going to be a very favorable trade for them, and they get to keep their gem. But here comes the rest of DC, and they're going in. We've got a Primal Roar coming out onto this Nature's Prophet. That is going to be Aegis burned. We were wrong about them being able to burn that on. And Iwo is now Fiend's Gripped up. Can anybody interrupt this? Instead, he's just going to go down. You've got Ember Spirit vying back to come in, and everybody is melting before his touches. Iwo Van is trying to do a lot of damage to the Nature's Prophet, but Nightmare up, there's nothing he can do. Gems all over the ground, and it looks like DC have very easily taken this team fight, finally killing off the Wind Panda.
Oh my god,
It's
Yawar is
devastating.
just this monster right now, going absolutely crazy here. I mean, he doesn't have the highest HP in the world. You're not seeing that
Radiant's
Scotty
middle tower is
into the sort of, the satanic that you sometimes see out of the Shadow Fiends, but with the Manta up as well as being able to have the MKB, he just deals so much damage. The buyback, but they don't have Bruise Split for this one, so they're not going to be able to fight as efficiently as they did in that last engagement. There's going to be the slowing down, but look at Smash Fall. They are going to be able to do a lot of damage with this call down, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. We do actually end up seeing 2 heroes dead. Everybody is starting to go down for DC, and all of a sudden bullet drops as well. The buybacks abound. Ogre Magic coming back in a full team wipe the other direction. Owie, the only one left, survived. Oh my goodness.
Still very costly for EWolves, but
that's actually
okay.
that's a dieback on the Ember.
Also, Shadowfiend just used his buyback, so we have no buybacks for EWolves, 3 for DC. I think they're fine.
I don't know. The Ember is dead for 90 seconds, and you do have almost everybody up for EWolves. They don't have the Bruise Split. It's a little bit sketchy at this point, because if you do end up dying again on any of these heroes for DC, if they get a pickoff, I think it's a lane of racks. We do have the TP on in now as well from the Nature's Prophet. They push on out the enemy lanes, and you're suddenly looking in a situation where you don't have the best ability to hold this back out. The greatest like wave clear ability that you had was the Ember Spirit. He's gone.
Yeah. So it's, while he's the major wave clear, I still think that they can maybe take a fight, and they're gonna have to wait, 56 per second. I think having Boulder up as well to pop those Necro Creeps could help them, but no, this tower, it is starting, it's gonna start melting. Nature's Prophet actually not hitting the tower because he's TPing to do Ancients.
Well,
he is.
Okay, with the roar back up, they decide to bounce on out. Like, there was always the issue of the roar into a Requiem, but I think being able to take another tower there is key. And the other thing is, you don't have a buyback now on this Ember Spirit for another 4.5 minutes. So Ultra Kill's going both directions. If we take a look at net worth right now, DC's definitely still in the lead after that first initial team fight and then the subsequent buybacks. But net worth matters so much less at this point in the game. Like, doesn't really matter a ton. The most important thing is your objectives, and actually if they're able to find a pickoff now on top of Aoi, they are going to see him there multicast abound, but it does going to be a quick pickoff, and now they're reinitiating. Ember Spirit's back up in 4 seconds.
Ember Spirit can kill them all. Yeah, is the thing. That's the problem. Even with just one crit, if he gets lucky, he just wipes everyone, and it's not easy to play into that. And it feels like they're gonna maybe try to go for this push, saying that Aoi's down, but that's just the bounty hunter, he wasn't exactly bringing the good damage. We see Mystico taking, a quarter of his health from one sleight of fist.
Actually, the thing though also is that the biggest part I felt like of the Ember Spirit is the ability to keep creeps out of the base. Now that there isn't a tier 3 mid, creeps are actually here. So EWolves can stand up on high ground and start pushing away at this. We still have the cheese up on the gyrocopter. Blue Split is waiting to be committed. There's gonna be the roar down on top of the gyrocopter. He's dropping really low. Look at the Requiem. Souls just rip him apart. War is just this monster here. Masuko ends up dropping as well. That's going to end up being a jump on top of the Nature's Prophet. What are you, Pause? Why are you here?
I'm pretty sure the gyro is DC'd, probably.
Oh, God, no.
So, the other problem here, the Requiem of Souls is completely nerfed the damage coming out of the Nature's Prophet. He'll get the kill, but then he explodes, and I don't know how you get your pandas away. Is he...
Right. I think now at this point you're in a lot of trouble here. They're gonna end up getting smashed on back, but that's a full man team wipe. It looked like for a second there at least they're gonna be able to do something for EWolves, but now in a lot of trouble. Smash does live for a long time, but the second drum they only end up getting the melee barracks in the bottom. And now with no buybacks and everybody dead for roughly 30 to 70 seconds, this is DC's time to shine.
Yeah, they know that there are no buybacks because of the previous engagement, and they feel like they can probably take a Rax. This is more than enough time to push up and do serious damage to this base, and that could have just been game.
What a way to win this one if they end up doing it. Like a series of huge team fights back and forth, and Shadow Fiend is going to be back up in another 60 seconds. DC looking pretty strong here, and EWolves unfortunately not able to make the most of their early game draft. It even felt like at this late stage, 45 minutes into it, they were going to be able to make a secondary comeback, but only getting one of those barracks. Now they're going to end up being able to take on out this last set of barracks in the mid lane, moving on down to bottom afterwards. Ogre is back up, as is the Lich. They just need to try and apply this pressure as quickly as possible. Tier 3 towers falling. You've got the Inner Beast aura going. This is going to be 2 lanes, and I think that they can maybe even go for a going for a third is risky.
They should do it. They should totally do it. No, I think they could definitely easily go for a third. I mean, they're not going to. They're going to back out. They're going to play it safely, but they have nothing to fear. The team fight from EWolves is not that great, and with someone like the Ember Spirit, especially with all these Blink Dagger pickups, I mean, yeah, they don't have your War here, but they have a lot of Blink Initiation, 4-stars, and so on. I think that they would have been fine to go. So.
All right, well, Oban now 5,400 gold on him. We do have on the Bounty Hunter the Lotus Orb finished off, as well as the 3,000 gold extra. Another courier ends up going down there. Slightly unfortunate. It looks like they want to come on back here. Roche is going to respawn in another second or two. This might be the one last hurrah here for EWolves. I mean,
they do
never
melt
count them out.
towers. Here's the thing, they do super melt towers. You've got stuff like, we saw there, Nature's Prophet, when he was pounding away on that melee Rax, it was going down. I was even surprised by how fast. I know he has a lot of damage, but I did not expect it to be so easy because of the melee Rax being, of course, a lot more tankier, but he can get it. So if there's a mistake here, maybe the Nature's Prophet can push for the Ancient, but I don't know how they make a team fight where they win with the way that they've itemized and just the heroes that they have. This gyro, you talked about it. It feels like it's been forever since we had him have that butterfly, and he's still trying to get the Satanic.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely going to be the last big fight here for EWolves, one way or the other. They either need to take Roshan and then immediately run on down the mid lane and try and take on out the Ancient, or possibly, if they don't end up getting this could be really, really devastating. Oh god, DC
Yeah,
but he
smoked.
does have Roar on up. They spot this all out. This could be game right here if they're able to find it. Jump on in. There's going to be the Requiem as well. Roar committed. No, Requiem not quite out yet. Masuka dropping pretty low, as well as IWO. All of them are starting to fall, and the Ember Spirit cleaving on top of everybody. Nature's Prophet able to take on the Bounty Hunter and the Beastmaster, though. And Bane, look at him start to go to work,
No
but
buyback.
DC is still such a...
No, he's dead. He's such
Look
a
at the
dead
Nature's
person.
Prophet Rampage!
So, oh goodness. Now 1437 is like Nature's Prophet, I've got you. Oh goodness, if they take him out here, can he get away? Fiend Script gonna stop that. If Nature's Prophet could have escaped that maybe would have been game, as you mentioned, and they should be able to finish off this Roshan. There were a lot of buybacks for that, unfortunately, on the lineup of DC, but I think that they're still alright just because they have 2 lanes pushing in, and still, oh, as I say, that buyback just comes off cooldown for the Brewmaster, so he's gonna try to push out the lanes as much as he can.
You're also going to have buyback right now by the Nature's Prophet. It's so lucky that they ended up coming offline right now. Lich also has buyback. It was a 7,000 gold swing at the end of all that one, and now Nature's Prophet coming back in here. He wanted to be able to see if he could find somebody, but not going to be able to make it happen. What a freaking play right there. The Rampage by the NP also has his BKB finish now. This is a 10-second BKB.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the initial part of that engagement, but Nature's Prophet was actually like TPing in to help out with the Roshan, using the Sprout to, not the Sprout, sorry, using the teleportation to get in, and then he saw the, can't remember if it was the slide, I think the Sleight of Fist comes out and Nature's Prophet is like, I'm good. He just cancels it, and then that's how he managed to avoid a lot of that damage and a lot of the debuffs that would have nerfed his damage. But yeah, I mean, they just took a fight. That's how, apparently, you bait most of your heroes in the Roche pit, but now they don't have buybacks on Brewmaster and Nature's Prophet again for another 6 minutes. It's scary. And yeah, the buybacks are down on the lineup of DC on those cores, but you have to kill them again.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a buyback that's up on the Ember Spirit, so I still think that there's a bit of a moment here where they're going to be able to make it happen. It's also worth noting that Shadow Fiend did just invest into the Satanic, and he doesn't have buyback for at least another 600 gold. So if they try and they're not going to try and pressure this too much. This game is going to go until probably the next Roshan, unless we see a really pick off by somebody that probably shouldn't happen. I don't expect to see EWolves being able to find a pick off here unless there's some bad misplays on DC's part, and I don't expect that to happen either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, maybe they can smoke themselves on the lineup of EWolves. It's certainly, I mean, they don't have any in stock or on anyone. Maybe they get really lucky, you can smoke. I don't think you're going to catch the Ember out at this stage, right? TC knows that if he goes down, he's in a lot of trouble. But even if you could catch the Beastmaster or Yawar, but they're sticking together like glue. I mean,
Yeah,
yep, and they smoke themselves.
It makes sense. All right, so DC is going to try and pressure this. I don't know about this play, honestly, just because you're trying to fight on into this lineup. Maybe you're able to take the fight up in this top lane, but Ember ends up getting sort of like they break the Lincoln Sphere the first time around with, you know, something like the rock throw coming out from the Brewmaster. If they're able to lift him throughout the whole course of the fight and then take out the rest of the heroes, this is going to be a one fight for EWolves. That's the way they end up winning this one, I think. And smoke on into the base. Now, Nature's Prophet is the one that's separated from the rest of the herd. If they end up finding him, MGod ends up getting committed. There's Smash using the ulti. It's going to end up coming on out there. 1437 does end up getting lifted, so the Ember Spirit's still going to be able to do a lot of damage here. The Lich already dead at the start of this fight. Nature's Prophet with the BKB charge is starting to go down, and now they Fiend Script him up. This could be just about it. They lift actually up on top of the Bane, and there is the Nature's Prophet going down. No buyback at this point. Yawar is starting to fall by the Gyrocopter. Smashes in the middle of everybody. Starting to take through Bulba. That's going to be Aegis committed for this one. Bloodlusting up Smash just to get as much damage as they possibly can, but throughout all of this, TC is just cleaving away. He needed to run away from this one. Satanic committed. He's actually turning this back around. Gyrocopter ends up taking out the Shadow Fiend. The buyback is coming back in, and now it looks like TC needs to get out of there. If he doesn't get away, he's going to end up falling as well. Oh god, Io just wants to do as much as he can, but I think it's going to end up being not enough in the end. Call down finally committed. He is going to end up falling, and it looks like EWolves are going to end up getting 2-0 here, unless we see the most miracle of Gyrocopter plays, and I don't think he quite has enough to do it. There's TC DC chains one more time again. Brain saps abound. He's going to end up falling. GG soon to get called as DC finally are able to do it here.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't a bad... I feel like EWolves clearly showed that they have a dominant early game. They're very good at their laning phase, all the way up into mid-game. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to seal the game out.
Well, and that's going to do it for them. This was the lower bracket matchup. We still have one more series that's going to be coming on after this. Archon versus Complexity. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen, for that one. Hoping for it to be good. Once again, at Lyrical Dota and at Llama Down Under. Llama, before we move on into this next one, any final thoughts on the series, Life, Liberty, The Pursuit of Happiness? Anything on your mind?
I just feel like that Nature's Prophet was huge. I mean, he got a rampage, but no, I think DC showed that even though they're in the lower bracket, they